These conversations can get confused in the sense that there are these three interrelated sort of sets of innovations that have all happened very, very rapidly, and it's very easy to sort of one moment you're talking about one, and then the next moment you're talking about another, and there are different states of understanding as well. So when the the industry is talking to regulators, they can often ask you a question based on assumptions about one when in fact it's about another. And last week I presented kind of a perspective at the SEC's Investor Advisory Committee, and you can see sort of there was varying degrees of understanding of the members of the advisory committee, which affected the kind of temperature as well as the focus of some of their questions. But so the three are, there's first the technology. The first innovation that people became aware of was the cryptocurrency. There have been cryptocurrencies before, but Bitcoin and then these kind of other kind of virtual currencies. Then it was focus on kind of the technology, blockchain or distributed ledger technology. And then just within really the last 12 months, there's been a lot more focus and visibility around these ICOs or token sales. And I think all of these are important things for industry to engage with the regulators about. And I'll say that before kind of giving maybe a perspective or two on each of the specifics, I will say regulators really are listening. They're paying attention on all of them. The CFTC, we formed Lab CFTC. The SEC formed a staff blockchain working group in 2013. They were very ahead of the curve. They've been meeting with innovators and studying the issues. I worked with groups of international regulators to study post-trade distributed ledger work cases. That was about a year-long process that started kind of from spring of last year to spring of this year. So regulators are listening, and whether formally, they have office hour programs, or informally, they really are listening, and they want to understand it better. What are the impacts going to be in the different areas that they look at? So starting with the technology itself, regulators don't regulate technology, and say, well, who's going to do something about this, blockchain? So the blockchain itself, they do not do it. Sometimes I think most regulators understand this, that they don't regulate technology. What they do regulate is the application of technology as it's used by their registrants. So that can be a broker-dealer, an intermediary, an exchange, or a clearinghouse. They look at how it's being used. Regulators are trying to understand those challenges. That itself, some of the the impacts on intermediaries or deduplication of data or the possibility to transform reporting, that may change the way regulators regulate. Right? They're used to right now they mainly look at markets and institutions and registrants. They may need to change their focus to regulating activities, and the activities may be performed not by traditional actors like the big registered. It may be these startup innovators or technology companies that are doing consumer lending. So they may need to shift their focus, not because they're regulating technology, but technology may move the risks and activities around, and they may need to shift to activity-based regulation. So I think that just helping them understand it, if you're doing something new or your clients want to do something new, to explain to them how what you're doing kind of fits into a framework they understand, and that you understand, okay, this is mostly the same as this, and it introduces some new risks, and we need some new controls, and here's how we're doing that. So I think that's at one level, and that's very, very important. Then in terms of the state of regulation on kind of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and I think that the temperature of this also can get, can go very high. You have kind of Jamie Dimon talking about, is it a fraud? There's all sorts of things like that. So I think, again, we're moving in a general arc towards greater legal certainty around this. The IRS in 2014 explained it was like property in the sense that you had a basis, and then if the value appreciated, then you had a taxable event. It was, so that was a step.